والله العظيم لا نزار منه لدماء شهدائنا، لدماء أطفالنا اللي خسفتون واللي قتلتون واللي ارتكبتوا فيهم المجازر. الله يا رب يا رب انتقم. وين تخدموا؟ فرقة 9 بدرعا. الله جل جلاله أهلك والشام وعصاباته وشبيحته وعز الإسلام، قتل أطفالنا وقتل نسائنا بالبراميل المتفجرة، وجاب الروس وجاب الإيرانية وجاب حزب الشيطان، والله جل جلاله نصرنا عليهم. بطح أنت وياه معه. هذا دين محمد بن عبد الله. اسمع، دين محمد بن عبد الله. جيبوا انت وياه. اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. هذا ديننا، هذا ديننا. اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. هاي ثورتنا. اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. احفظوا هاي الكلمة من أبناء الثورة السورية. اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. الله عز وجل يوم ما نلقى نحن وانتم عنده يوم الحساب، ونتحاسب على كل قطرة دم سفكتوها من أهلنا. لكن اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء.
الحساب بالآخرة.
الحساب عند الله.
نحن مو شغلتنا نحاسبكم.
الحساب عند الله.
نعتبركم سوريين.
اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. اذهبوا يلا أهلكم على أهلكم. هاي ثورتنا. حدفوا عن ثورتنا. انتم لو انكم لاقتيننا كنتوا ذبحتونا. حدفوا عن ثورتنا انه قلنا لكم اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. 14 سنة مع السرجة ينزل على الشام. 14 سنة نحن ساكنين الخيام. 14 سنة نحن عم ننقصف ونحن عم نموت.
اولادي ما شفتهم.
اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء.
ليش؟ عشان قلنا لكم بس لانه كنا حرية.
اذا آلاف العساكر الان عم يمسكوهم المقاتلين الابطال، وعم يجمعوهم وعم يبعثوهم على اهاليهم، سواء كانوا من علويه او مسيحيه او درزيه او من اي مكان خال، ومراجل من اي مكان خال، وبيقولوا لهم اذهبوا.
اسماعيلي
ايش تقولوا لهم؟
كله بيتكسر. استعين بالله.
اذهبوا فأنتم طلقاء.
مسكنا شيعة، مسكنا يا شباب والله من كل البلاد. والله انه اتركنا صراحة في سبيل الله. والله العظيم على ما قلت.
الله اكبر، الله اكبر. بشار الاسد هرب، بشار الاسد هرب، بشار الاسد هرب. سقط نظام الاسد وانتصرت.
According to Russian military propagandist Alexander Arutyunov, who hosts the Z channel Razvedos, at least one group of Russian servicemen in Syria has found themselves surrounded and cut off from their main bases in the region. The situation, he says, looks extremely critical since there is no military way out of it. They have no chance of breaking through on their own. There is nowhere to expect reinforcements, writes Arutyunov, describing the situation of the cut-off servicemen. This group is presumably deprived of both air support and the ability to join up with other units. The encirclement of Russian troops has become a symbol of the deep crisis in Russia's Syrian campaign, which is facing serious problems amid the collapse of Bashar al-Assad's regime. The only chance to save the servicemen remains a political situation. Arutyunov expressed hope that our compatriots will not be forgotten, emphasizing the seriousness of the threat the group faced. They won't forget in the literal sense, he added, hinting at possible tragic consequences if Moscow fails to reach an agreement with the new forces controlling the region. The Z propagandist does not write directly but hints that the surrounded Russians will be able to survive only if Erdogan helps Moscow or if negotiations with the rebels take place. However, until recently, the Kremlin regime has been launching missile and bomb strikes against them and calling them terrorists. The chances of successful negotiations are minimal. Russians publish videos of the rebels and write that they are preparing to attack Latakia, where the Russian Khmeimim airbase is located. CNN Turk reports that Russia has asked Turkey to help withdraw its troops from Syria, where rebels have toppled the regime of Moscow ally dictator Bashar al-Assad. The Kremlin is trying to withdraw all personnel from the battlefield except for 2 military bases. According to the channel, Russia has already submitted a request to Ankara to help organize the safe exit of its military. Obviously, the Russians will withdraw their manpower from the battlefield, with the exception of the Tartus naval base and the Khmeimim air base. The TV channel reports it appears that Russian military personnel will be sent to a region controlled by Turkish forces and then flown to Russia by air. The influence of Iran's puppet forces in Syria has also long since diminished, CNN Turk notes. Ukrainian political scientist Mikhail Sheetalman's first reaction to Assad's flight from Syria to Russia was sarcasm, so he joked about it. They write that Assad arrived in Moscow with his family. Putin gave him asylum. So what? They will have another fugitive president. Mikhail Sheetalman spoke about this on his YouTube channel. That's right. Let him live there in Moscow. That's good. They'll send him to Rostov. They need to rob someone. By the way, yesterday morning they said that Assad has tens of billions of dollars. He's a rich man. Now he'll come to Moscow and they'll charge him a fee for living in Barvivka. $10 million a day. If you want to live $1 million a day, don't want to pay? Look for yourself somewhere else. If you want to go to another country, go ahead. So he probably landed at a Russian airbase and then they took him out by plane, the political scientist suggested. After this, Mikhail Sheetalman recalled another similar case from world history. He's not the first one. Remember, President Aliyev was taken out of Kyrgyzstan on a military plane when he was overthrown by the people? Aliyev was overthrown, but on a Russian plane and delivered to Moscow. And so he lives there in the Moscow region. Yanukovych, you know where he lives. There are many of these refugee presidents living there. They like to hide them. They just rob them. Recall Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad, who finally lost power on December the 8th after rebels entered Damascus, fled to Moscow. Russian propaganda agencies TASS and RIA Novosti wrote about this, citing sources in the Kremlin. According to the Saudi newspaper Ilham, which cited inputs from British intelligence service MI6, and the Assad family's fortunes amount to 200 tons of gold, $16 billion and 5 billion euros. The sum is equivalent to Syria's entire budget for 7 years when compared to data as of 2023, the report claimed. However, there was no way to cross-check this claim. The closest to an accurate account of Bashar al-Assad's wealth is a 2022 report by the US Department of State. The report estimated the finances of Bashar Assad and his wife Asma Akras Assad, his brother Maha Assad, sister Bushra Assad, cousins and uncles among others. The report begins with the confession that the calculations were largely based on open source information and they had no idea about the finances of Bashar's 3 children, Hafez, Zain and Karim, all adults, in 2024. The Assad family's net worth is believed to be somewhere between $1.2 billion, an estimate which the US Department of State couldn't independently corroborate. The Assads are directly or indirectly involved in almost all large-scale economic operations in the country. Tabulating their net worth is almost impossible for a party from the outside, as they have assets concealed in numerous accounts, real estate portfolios, corporations, and offshore tax havens. To avoid detection and avoid sanctions, they use dummies and false names, apart from running shell companies.